Hello, I'm Madeline Stoops, and today I'm going to be the voice for Nathan Stoops' video project. Today we are going to be talking about two artworks, the Pink Panther and the David Vases. The first piece that we'll be going over is the Pink Panther. The Pink Panther was created by Jeff Koons in America in 1988. The first topic that we are going to address is the form. The woman being depicted is Jane Mansfield, a world-renowned 1950s pinup model. This is around the height of Pink Panther's popularity because he was created shortly after in the 1960s. The woman is wearing a mint green dress draped around her waist as it has fallen down her chest. Her right hand is covering her exposed breast while her left arm is around the Pink Panther. Her hair is blonde, representing an idealized figure, and her face is adorned with red lipstick. The bright lips directly correlate to the vibrant red nail polish on her fingernails, implying a sexualized nature around the work. The colorful lips have a contrasting effect to the perfectly shiny white teeth, showing a range in the hues Koons used. She is turning her head as if the viewer is to her right side, however this piece stands in such a way where people are able to walk around it. The purpose of this particular work was to draw attention to the issues between early childhood innocence and hypersexuality. This was common among many of Koons' works and is what gained him such traction in the art world. This work was created by Koons solely for monetary gain, as well as to spread a socio-political standpoint on the loss of children's innocence at such a young age. This meant that the work had no patron to fund it, and it was constructed independently by Koons. 4 versions of the statue were produced. The first 3 are located in public museums, at the Sonnebenn Gallery in New York City, at the Donald Young Gallery in Chicago, and at the Gallery Max Helzer in Cologne, and the last reproduction is in a private residence. This means that the Pink Panther was created for a public setting, open for everyone to interpret it. The entire piece is constructed of glazed porcelain, because the work was designed for commercialization. The size of the work is 42 inches tall, and the woman's figure has realistic proportions as that of the model. Because of its realistic size and dimensions, this meant that onlookers could walk around it and view it from different angles. The woman is being depicted idealized because of her large breasts, blonde hair, and vibrant colors. The figure is posed in a position Jane Mansfield often sported, so for continuity, Koons portrayed her in this over-the-shoulder view. Balance is shown by alternating the placement of his sculpture with her face looking to her right and the Pink Panther counterweighting this by leaning to her left shoulder. This work was also a part of the Banality exposition, with a central theme of familiarity and copyright inspirations. All works in this exposition were created by Jeff Koons. Another piece that was a part of the Banality series was Michael Jackson and Bubbles. In 1988, Jeff Koons made 3 identical porcelain sculptures of Bubbles and Jackson. At the time, each sculpture was said to be worth $250,000. Koons once said of the pop star, "If I could be one other living person, it would probably be Michael Jackson." The art piece went on to become one of Koons' best-known works. The figure shows Jackson and the chimpanzee wearing gold military-style suits. Here is an interesting video about Jeff Koons' Banality series.
True liberation for the artist is outside the art world. That's where one truly can be free and effective, because the only thing that matters outside the art world is effectiveness. It is that direct line of communication, and that is the only important thing, effectiveness.
Koons measures his effectiveness by his ability to take the viewer by surprise, and this show at the Sonnebenn Gallery was like an explosion in the art world. Critics either loved it or hated it. His objects, culled from popular culture, all seem vaguely familiar. This luscious Playboy bunny hugs a Pink Panther. In this elaborate, ambitious show, Koons has broken away from the traditional concerns of contemporary art and has instead focused on kitschy imagery like this pig, a penguin, and the truncated body of a woman. This is not elitist imagery. These works are calculated to seduce the general populace, yet there is something disquieting about them. Here we see 2 naked children, the very symbol of innocence and purity, But upon closer look, the little girl is staring directly at the boy's genitals, not at the flowers. Koons plays with our notions of sentimentality, sex, religion, and the popular hero. He manipulates us through our gut-level responses. Yet this imagery, for all its cuteness and playfulness, contains a dark side, which plays directly upon our subconscious.
The next piece that I will be talking to you about is the David Vases. The David Vases were created in 1351 during the Yuan dynasty with a size of 63.6 by 20.7 centimeters. The vases were located at Jiangxi province in China and were made of porcelain. Tall white vessels can be seen decorated with blue traditional style dragons. There are also stylized birds, clouds, and floral patterns. The shape of the handles appears to resemble elephant heads, complete with trunks connecting to the shoulders of the vases. At the neck of the vase, there are leaves and flowers painted, as well as towards the foot of the vase. The blue and white color scheme is known to be the earliest color scheme of porcelain dedication. In the body, Chinese dragons are shown with traditional long bodies and beards. The dragons are complete with scales and claws and appear lost in a sea of clouds. The function of the David vases was to serve as an altarpiece for a Taoist temple. The vases also have incense burners to honor a general who was looked up to as a god. He became godly because of his supernatural wisdom, power, and ability to predict the future. The context of the vases included a long dedication to the earliest known Chinese blue and white vases. Also, the blue dyes were imported from Iran. This was made possible because of Chinese expansion into Western Asia. The porcelain vases show an important side of Chinese culture and tradition because of the signature cobalt blue glaze on the white porcelain still used today. The patron of this piece is a man named Zhang Wenjin. He has his name and dedication to the general in the upper section of the vases. This piece was placed in a private setting because it was intended to stay in a temple of a man of high status. The color cobalt blue was of high prestige in China, since only the emperor was allowed to wear it. This was because it had to be imported all the way from Iran. The proportions of the vases are very tall but narrow because they were used as funnels for the smoke from the burnt incense. The Mongol Yuan dynasty enforced the movement of artists of all sorts around the Mongol Empire, which in ceramics brought a major stylistic and technical influence from the Islamic world in the form of blue and white porcelain, with underglaze painting in cobalt. This has been described as the last great innovation in ceramic technology. Decoration by underglaze painted patterns had long been a feature of Chinese pottery, but was regarded as rather vulgar by the court, and using an understated aesthetic with perfect shapes and subtle glaze effects, often over shallow decoration carved or molded into the surface.